Hello, basketball fans. It's me, DC, coming at you to get you ready for week 2 of the NBA season with the waiver wire. Sorry if it's a little later on Sunday here. I had some family stuff going on today and couldn't quite get to it. So we're going to focus on players available in 50% of leagues or more. I'm using Yahoo's numbers because I like that platform the best. Carry over to ESPN or Fantrax or wherever you're playing. But before we talk about those widely available guys out there in at least half of the leagues, I want to go through quickly some must-own guys that are too available. These should be on some roster in every league. Now, does this mean you should have every one of these players? No, probably not. But in every league, I think these players should be owned by some team. And if you've got room, you should take a look to try and pick them up. They're going to be better options than most of who are getting to the waiver wire, unfortunately. So let's start off with hot pickup Ricky Rubio. He's at 51% rostered last night. He's up to 57 now, so he just doesn't miss the list. He's getting a lot of play time. He should be out there. Tyrese Maxey, 63%. Ben Simmons isn't there. He's getting a ton of run. I don't think I need to explain this too much, but 63% is still low. DeAnthony Melton, he's doing awesome, 57% rostered. We don't know what's going to happen when Dillon Brooks comes back. Is he probably going to take a step back? Yeah, but 57% is still too low, especially in points leagues. He should be picked up way more than he is. Barton, 58%. That should be a lot higher. By the end of the season, he's probably a top 120 player, maybe a little bit higher. Am I excited about him? No, he's very reliable for fantasy. He's, rostered almost every season. I think because he's not exciting, he's got a little overlooked, but he should be out there. If you feel like you know what you're getting and you want to take a higher upside swing, I understand. Maybe hold off. And Chris Duarte, coming in hot, 63% rostered, which is pretty high for a guy, I'm not sure a week ago what his ownership would have been at. I guess I want to caution what you cut for Chris Duarte, but I do think he should be rostered in all leagues, if that makes any sense. We might be at his high water mark. Like, he's hitting a ton of threes. He's getting involved. He's getting a ton of playtime. That's great. And I think it might continue for a while, but I don't think you're grabbing like, oh, I'm getting this young guy and I've got an upside play. I think what we're seeing is potentially his ceiling. If this continues, you're excited about it. And so I think someone should be rolling the dice on grabbing him. But I wouldn't be, giving up on some guys that you're excited about. Say the next person on my list here, Josh Giddy at 65%. I think Giddy should be rostered everywhere. Even though he's not done a ton yet, I wouldn't necessarily make that swap, right? They're both on this list. They should be rostered. I wouldn't be like cutting bait on people I like or I'm still hoping on upside to get Chris Duarte. All right, getting into the guys that are available in at least half of leagues. I'm a little disappointed in the options. It's week 2. You normally hear there's a big chance for you to scramble and pick up some guys that are really going to make a difference. And the players that are producing right now that are in the bottom 50%, I'm not super pumped about. There's some good options here. I mean, I don't want you to turn off the video and not watch. Like, I put it to work here and we'll talk about it. But I also don't want people going nuts. Maybe this is just meaning good. A lot of people are being savvy, or, everyone's been jumping on stuff for the first couple days and they're going to kind of change. So the first guy I have on the list is Cam Reddish. 28% rostered is too low. Now, he's producing a lot of points, threes. He's getting a ton of minutes. This is all great. They've got a crowded set of wings there in Atlanta. So could this change? Maybe, but he should be picked up. Unfortunately, he's not really contributing much more than these, right? You're not getting a full category production with him right now. So I think he's more valuable in points league than category league. Conversely, if you are in a category league, which I prefer, Eric Bledsoe is at 47%. So he's just under half. I think he's worth picking up. Some people jumped on him after the first game he did with the Clippers, set the water a little high, came down a little bit. But I think the average is maybe in between those two games, and that's a really solid player available in more than half of the leagues. If you're looking for a point guard, and point guards can be hard to find, especially if injuries come and stuff, I would go out and get Bledsoe. Next up's Desmond Bane, 39% rostered. I talked about DeAnthony Melton. Melton and Bane are doing great right now, but Brooks is out. If Brooks comes back this week, maybe 10 days from now, somewhere in that range, it's going to affect both of them, and I don't know how. But for now, I would want to grab Bane, see what I got. This could be, I almost said homerism. I really like Memphis, and so that could be part of it. It's a little unfair to say homerism. The Bulls have always been my team. They're up 3-0. I should have been wearing Bulls gear today. I missed out on it. At least I got red. Anyway, so Cam Reddish, Eric Bledsoe, Desmond Bane, for what they're producing right now, are the top of the waiver wire I have. Now, if you're only in points leagues, I would give a look to Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, and maybe Lonnie Walker. They're not giving full stat lines. These are 12%, 18%, 13% roster guys, right? So they're less than 20% for all of them. So they're widely available. If you're in a points league, these guys are producing. I understand why Eric Gordon wasn't drafted. We didn't know what was going to go on, but he's being used right now. He's scoring for you with the threes. In a points league, I think that'll be good. In a category league, it's pretty shallow what you're getting. I don't want to go too nuts. These guys remind me of someone I've been seeing picked up a lot that if you, why am I saying someone? Why the suspense? Patty Mills. Let's talk about Patty Mills. He had a big game on the first night of the season, nationally televised game. People were watching him. He went 7 of 7 from 3-point line. Great. Huge night. It's really boosting his stats and averages right now because he's only played the couple of games. And I don't think he's going to, I legitimately think we've seen his best game of the season. I think he's going to play a lot for the Nets. He's going to contribute. He's going to get you some steals. Great. I don't think we're going to see a game that good again. I think of Patty Mills for fantasy a little like Derrick Rose. So Patty Mills, 41% rostered. Derrick Rose, 48% rostered. I think he's going to be valuable to your team or any team throughout the season for a week here or there. But I also don't think you're ever going to get the explosive upside you might get from someone else. And right now, early in the season, I'm not super interested in rostering that. I want to take some deeper swings on guys that maybe aren't contributing that could boom for me more than me just saying, here's my solid guy that I can keep playing. If you're in a roto or something, you can make up games later in the season and people are going to get injured. People will come up. They're fine holds. They're the type of guys I'd be willing to cut for some of these other guys I'm going to talk about on the watch list. I've got a pretty deep watch list for you to try and fill out. Some guys I'm hoping pop, but maybe we're not ready to make the moves yet. I thought I was done with that. I'm not trying to crap on Patty Mills excessively, but look at Doug McDermott. He just had seven threes in a game. He's only rostered in 10%, right? It was his third game, so it didn't make his averages shoot to the top of the waiver wire. And it wasn't nationally televised, so people didn't notice as much. But Doug McDermott just did the same thing. You can pick up these guys. Honestly, Doug McDermott's probably a more reliable use for threes. Not a more reliable use all season long. I'm not trying to put them in the same category, but you can kind of see where that inflation comes from of just a matter of timing and people seeing it. And so they react heavily because they say, show me averages. Let's see these guys. Oh, I'm going to do that really quick. Now, if you'd rather have them than say Thad Young, who doesn't seem to be involved at all in the Spurs, and I'm guessing they're just going to use him to try and trade him at some point in the season. Although the Spurs historically don't even make mid-season trades. So he might just be there. Maybe he's a locker room guy for them. It's a shame he's not being used. But basically anyone we've talked about, I'm fine. Just you cut bait with Thad Young. But I guess I shouldn't just say cut Thad Young. I mean, I think he's droppable in all leagues, all formats. But if you're saying to me, but Dave, I need a center. Like I need this guy. Who can I look for? There's not a ton of great center options. I would rather roll the dice on Hassan Whiteside. That doesn't feel good to say. 19% rostered. He's involved in Utah. I don't think he's going to explode. I'd almost be more interested in going with Davis Bertans. 10% rostered. He really let me down last year. I don't know if it was his performance or as much as how the team utilized him. But he didn't start out great for the season. In fact, it was a really bad start to first game. But the next game was pretty great and the shot was falling. If you can get a guy who's eligible to play center that is hitting a bunch of threes and stuff, especially in categories leagues, that could be an interesting format for depending on what you're punting. So I think that's good. And if it's a points league, you plug them in there, on the good nights, 4 3-pointers are going to count for threes and points. It's going to boost it up for just straight points leagues. I'd be more interested in either of those guys if you need a center, but I'm also not saying trip over yourself to go do this. All right, before I rattle off a name of a whole bunch of guys for your watch list, let's talk about some streaming options here throughout the week. If you look at the back-to-back schedule, Denver is the only team that has the back-to-back on Monday, Tuesday. So I think it could be interesting to try out Monte Morris there. You could play him at point guard or shooting guard, your utility slot. Has he popped? No, I think there could be more use season long, but this is probably just the quick hit of the only team that's got the back-to-back to start the week. He's rostered in 26% of leagues, so you can probably pick him up. And then maybe you'd move on to like Cody Martin, shooting guard, small forward. I think Cody Martin, 3% rostered last night when I checked this. I think he's up to 9% now. I think it's interesting. You're getting stats kind of across the board, but again, nothing popping. There could be some value here. I wouldn't want to cut too much, but they do get the Friday, Sunday on 2 different streaming days. So there's value in having the Charlotte player because you're going to get him in on 2 low volume days to end your week. So there's a couple options for you depending on where you're at to start and end the week, and gives you a little flexibility if you picked up someone now that you're excited about, say Patty Mills or whatever, and you say, okay, Dave, you convinced me to change it. Is Patty Mills maybe more valuable than Cody Martin? Probably. But I think there's maybe some upside there, Cody Martin still being involved that we haven't quite seen yet. And I'm just curious. So they're kind of watch list fringe guys. I don't think they're going to end in the top, say, 120 players by the end of the year. So don't go nuts. And this probably goes without saying, but if you're looking to pick up some defensive stats in your daily change league, categories, Matisse Thybulle, 38% rostered. You know what you're getting with him. He's a great defender. He sets like statistical records for coming in as a rookie and having most steals per minute and stuff like that. But it's also 4 points, no threes. It's not exploding now. Out of people we've talked about, do I think he has more upside for you season long than some of the guys? Yes. But I also think right now you just use them in a spot if you need to. All right, continuing with the list. I've got a couple guys that I didn't really put them in the like waivers got to pick up right now. My heart kind of wants to. But I don't think they're just watch lists either. They're in between. Maybe they're low priority waiver ads. I'm just surprised the ownership's so low. Precious Achiuwa with the Raptors, rostered in 40% of leagues. So he's widely available. His last 2 games, he's got a double-double. He could play small forward or power forward, which can be interesting. They're actually using him a lot at center. I'm not sure he's going to get center eligibility. It's hard for me to say what's happening. Like when I look and see he got 15, 10 and 12, and he's not even owned in half the leagues, that feels weird to me. But when Ken Birch comes back, if the coach is telling the truth, they're saying that they want it to be like a 50-50 timeshare with Precious and Ken Birch. And that's not going to be great. Right now, Precious is getting the minutes, and I think it's worth a shot to see what could develop. I think there could be season-long potential. I have him in, I think, all my leagues, actually. But I'm also not married to it. Like, pretty soon, in the next 10 days, depending on what I'm seeing round out there, I would be willing to move on. And so we kind of take that where you are. Below that, Terrence Mann is 37% rostered. That I think should be higher. He's going to be really involved for the Clippers right now. Yes. Are they hurting? Is he playing so many minutes because of health? Do you expect them to be healthy in the short term? No, I don't. I think they're going to continue to be hurting. And Terrence Mann should be rostered in way more leagues. I think the road is clear for him to have a breakout. Now, last year, did I steer us a little wrong when I went nutso over Justice Winslow and saying the road's clear, the team loves him, they're excited about him, he's going to do great? Yes, that was a bad call by me, but I still think the logic that went into it was right. Someone the team liked, tons of minutes available, the road's clear in the roster, they really need the help for this type of guy, and I think all of those things point to the Terrence Mann's upside. So I really think he's more interesting to me than Thybulle, Cody Martin, some of the guys we talked about. That's where are Patty Mills and Derrick Rose going to be contributors for you? Yes. But would I rather have Mann and hope to get more? Yes. Because if I fail, then it's just a streaming spot. I'm just cutting and streaming people throughout the rest of the season there anyway. And it's good to have that built into your roster. I'm not saying it's okay to be wrong all the time. Everyone gets it wrong. We own it and we move on. But I think Terrence Mann is really interesting. And I'm surprised that he's rostered in less than 40% of leagues. Like, that seems way too low. If you don't want to do it because he hasn't performed yet, okay, then he's a watch list. And that takes us right to the part where I rattle off a bunch of names for the watch list. Excuse the bad production here. I'm just going to rattle them straight off my list, because there's so many names of guys that I considered that we just need more evidence from, right? Everyone's played 2 games. A couple teams have played 3 games. We've got pretty limited options here. Not options, but limited data to really let me know. So let's go through here. Nemanja Bjelica, 36% rostered. Looked great in the first game for the Warriors, really used, again, nationally televised, was okay the next game. He can really shoot. I think he's a good player. I don't know if there's going to be enough there to cut bait on it, but I'm also open to, we see one more explosive game and I'm saying, go get him right now, either in the next video or on Twitter, because maybe we can't wait that long. So I think it's a watch list for now. Don't go nuts. Naz Reid, 13% rostered. When I was talking about low centers, I missed this. I feel like he's getting a little disrespected here for fantasy purposes. At the end of every year, he feels like one of those guys like Derrick Rose, where he's contributing and we have him on our teams, on some team. 13% seems a little low. Nothing right now popping out, but if you need a big, I think he's worth picking up. Davion Mitchell. I can't actually make the argument that he's worth having for fantasy, but I'm really excited about the guy. His defense is insane. It's making the Kings even more fun to watch, even if they're not winning. Between Fox and Mitchell, it's a lot of fun to watch the team right now. Mitchell's shutting people down, so I just kind of wanted to mention it. Maybe it's useful for steals. Don't pick him up. I actually had to come from one of the leagues because I was excited about him, but he's a really fun player. I just kind of want an excuse to talk about him for a minute. Cole Anthony is rostered in 20% of leagues. And for categories, if you're punting field goal percentage, this is very specific. If you're playing in a category league and you're punting field goal percentage, I think he'd be worth rostering. Put him on your watch list. Let's see what happened. But this was happening last year where I kept saying, oh, he's worth picking up. He's playing kind of well if he's staying healthy, but that field goal percentage is really terrible. And compared to other guys that have a more all-around game that aren't hurting you, I never want to say, pick up this guy that's going to sink you in a category and start playing him at the end of your utility. All right, Knicks fans, I got a couple for you. Well, Knicks fans probably already have these guys. Everyone else who's barely paying attention to the Knicks. Emmanuel Quickley, we were excited about him last year. Off and on usage. He's 7% rostered right now. Last night it was 6%, so I guess he's gotten picked up a little bit. I think he's just watch list. The minutes are too up and down. Played 8 minutes, then he played 20 minutes. The game's going on right now. He's played 7 minutes and 57 seconds, if that gives you any idea when I'm recording this. They're in the middle of the second quarter. So let's see what happened. He had a bad game. He had a first game. He had a bad game. He had a good game in the second one. Let's see how he's used. And then Obi Toppin, 17% rostered. I've seen a lot of minutes with him. He's playing out there with Julius Randle. And I think that's interesting. Nothing in the stat lines have made me say, go grab him right now, but I definitely think he's worth putting on your watch list and keeping an eye to see if he's going to be more involved than he was as a rookie. All right, just a couple more names and I'll let you go. Alexei Poku, 21% rostered, hasn't really done a ton yet. Only 15 minutes per game, and I was really hoping he was going to be higher. I grabbed him in a couple spots. First game, total good. Next game, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 threes, and he did it all in 17 minutes. You can hear how I got excited about that stat line at only 17 minutes. His field goal percentage isn't great. It's in the mid 40s. That's not really what you're going to want a small forward to shoot a high volume at. And if he's only going to play 15 minutes and get a bunch of dud games, I don't think you really pick him up yet. I've got him in some spots in deeper leagues where I'm going to hang on to him. But I think he's probably a watch list recommendation. If he gets more involved in OKC, I could see there being a lot of stats right there. 21% rostered. I think that's going to go down. And at some point during the season, I'm going to be saying, hey, go take a look. So just start tracking it now. And then Devin Vassell, 14% rostered. He's really involved there. DeRozan was really like a hub for the Spurs, I think, last year. And now he's gone. He's out with the Bulls. Vassell's playing well. Nothing yet is standing out, but if you want to roll the dice with it, go for it. So I think he should be a minimum watch list. If you wanted to pick him up and hope that you're going to be happy with that production, I think that's fine. Whew, that was a lot of names. I promise I didn't do this as an attempt to be like, see, I told you about this guy. I was right. The approach is not to take a shotgun. That's why so many were in the watch list. I'm trying to narrow down to really actionable items. If you have other people that you're interested in that I didn't mention and you want to call me out on it, hopefully politely, but if not, either way, we can talk about how to defend my takes. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. If not, thank you for watching. Set your lineups for week 2 and go out and win your week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. It helps me grow the channel. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or even the little bell will give you alerts, and I'll be back soon with another video for you.